Pakistan's political culture is defined by a persistent pattern: opposition for the sake of opposition. More often than not, political parties in opposition reject policies of a sitting government, not because those policies lack merit, but because they come from political rivals. And this has consequences. It weakens governance continuity, it damages public trust, and it prevents long term reforms from ever taking root. So in Pakistan, good policy does not fail because it is bad. It fails because of who proposed it. And that is the reality of our politics. Over the past few decades, every government, regardless of party, has faced resistance, even on policies that were rational, necessary, and economically unavoidable. Whether it is widening the tax net, or digitizing revenue systems, or any other necessary reform in Pakistan, these policies are attacked, almost always by the opposition. And the result? A chronic inability to implement policies that require political consensus. And this culture is not new. It goes back to the destabilizing politics of the 1990s, when the PPP and the PMLN repeatedly undermined each other's governments. Instead of focusing on providing good democratic governance to the people, these parties spent their energy destabilizing one another. Perhaps there were still some ideological differences on policy between these two parties. Even though one spoke of free markets, it also supported state backed employment and unions, and the other leaned more strongly towards market efficiency. But fast forward to when new political forces emerged, many expected this cycle to break. When Imran Khan rose in popularity and power, promising change of everything politics, power, and governance away from what he called the corrupt rule of the dynastic PPP and the PML, there was a real expectation that Pakistan's politics would change. Pakistan would get a breather from the rusty old politics of blame game. The party of change, people thought, would support politics and policy which is good, and only oppose what is bad for the country, and in the process also offer constructive alternatives. In short, it was expected that politics of change would mean a constructive engagement and a policy oriented opposition. Opposition on merit, not opposition for the sake of opposition. It was also hoped that the party's manifesto would not just be an election document, but would actually guide parliamentary behavior. But that did not happen. Instead, in Pakistan, rejectionism intensified. Even Imran Khan's politics fell into the same pattern. Oppose everything of the government, no matter what. Oppose everything of the other party, no matter what. So the hope that parties would offer alternative policy models in the parliament on crucial national issues died down even before these materialized. As opposition, the PTI protested to no end. It did not help advance the cause of genuine scrutiny and oversight inside the parliament. In fact, the party sidelined the parliament. In the process, a new political culture took root in Pakistan, a culture more damaging in many ways than the 1990s, a more hostile and personal culture, a more offensive culture in which even civilized engagement with the other party was treated as a political concession, not as a democratic necessity. And this is where the deeper damage began, because this culture didn't oppose any good or sound policies only. It simply aimed at destroying the other party, trashing their leaders, their politics, and their very existence. The debate was no longer why we should not support good policies, but it shifted entirely to polemical, polarized, and polluted politics which did not even recognize the right of respectful existence to the others. While national mood and governance has continued to suffer due to this deterioration, more critical fault lines have emerged on national security issues. Take the Pakistan-Afghanistan situation, for instance. Pakistan has had a long, complicated, and often painful relationship with Afghanistan. From the days of the Zahir Shah time, the animosity was Afghan-driven. Pakistan joined the fray to fight Soviet invasion alongside Afghans, but in the process got way too embroiled after defeating Soviets to maintain a friendly Kabul. In order to achieve that, Pakistan backed the Taliban. But this policy's flaws made it rupture so openly and painfully for the world to see, and it has demanded a pound of flesh from Pakistan in the process. As Pakistan aimed to course correct now, it suffered major losses, but has stood firm. We've continued to fight the TTP at the massive cost of precious lives, of stability, and of economic prosperity. But this threat has not yet subsided. This is a fight that Pakistan cannot ignore. It is a fight worth fighting to ensure safety and stability. And yet, even here, where national unity in the face of major national security crisis should be spontaneous, and where political consensus should come naturally, partisan politics reduces this to point scoring. One should wonder, terrorist attacks in Pakistan do not distinguish between whether a target supports PTI. A suicide bomber does not ask citizens to stand apart based on political affiliations. In fact, terrorists despise all Pakistanis, and they aim to hit every citizen indiscriminately. But our political rhetoric, it continues to divide, to fragment, to weaken the national responses. And that is the core problem. In Pakistan, even when a policy is clearly necessary, clearly rational, and clearly required for the country, it is simply attacked, not on substance, but for political positioning. As a result, another serious problem engulfs Pakistan. Policies are launched by every government, frameworks are announced, but there's no follow through, no tracking, no ownership. Because when the next government comes in, it basically resets everything that the previous government started. Not because the previous policy was wrong, but because it belonged to someone else, another political entity. And so, long-term policies die midway. Institutional memory collapses. And the system starts from zero, again and again. That is why Pakistan struggles, not just with policy design, but with policy survival. And this has hollowed out our democratic culture, because the real democratic deficit is not ideological disagreement. It is the collapse of responsible parliamentary behavior. Policy making instead has become hostage to point scoring. Instead of debate, refinement, and improvement, we get rejection, obstruction, and reset. And this problem will persist until our political parties learn to acknowledge and support policies that are objectively necessary for Pakistan, regardless of who brings them. It appears that Pakistan will remain stuck. We will see no continuity of policies, no stability, no long-term progress. Not in the economy, not in governance, not in national security. And that is the real cost of opposition for the sake of opposition.